Some places look like the Earth glitched. Take the Rainbow Mountains in China. They look like someone spilled paint across entire hills. But this is geology at work. Millions of years of mineral deposits layered and compressed, then exposed by erosion. There are places on Earth that look like they belong on another planet. There's a lake in Australia that's pink, not slightly pink, bright bubblegum pink. Scientists believe it's caused by microorganisms and salt-loving algae. But even when you take the water out, it stays pink. And if that wasn't strange enough, there's a place in Ethiopia called Dalal. It's one of the hottest places on Earth, and it looks like a toxic alien landscape. Neon yellows, greens, oranges, all created by extreme chemistry, sulfur, salt, and acid reacting under intense heat. But color isn't the only thing nature distorts. Imagine walking on the sky. In Bolivia during the rainy season, the world's largest salt flat turns into a perfect mirror. The horizon disappears. There's no up or down, just reflection. In the Indian Ocean near Mauritius, you can see what looks like a waterfall underwater. But it's actually an illusion, sand and sediment sliding down a steep ocean shelf. Still, your brain insists, that's impossible. In Australia, tides and sand constantly reshape the shoreline into swirling patterns. It looks like abstract art, except it redraws itself every single day. And sometimes nature doesn't just trick your eyes. It creates things that shouldn't even exist. In the middle of a desert in Turkmenistan, there's a giant crater that's been burning for over 50 years. It's called the Door to Hell. Scientists accidentally ignited it while drilling for gas, and it never stopped burning. In Indonesia, fire burned blue. At night, sulfuric gases ignite and create glowing electric blue flames. It's not lava, it's chemistry, and it looks completely unreal. Then there's a place in Venezuela where lightning strikes almost constantly. Up to 260 nights a year, thousands of bolts in a single storm. It's one of the most active lightning zones on Earth, but some of the strangest places and are frozen in time. In Antarctica, a glacier appears to bleed. Bright red water flows out of the ice. But it's not blood, it's iron-rich water oxidizing when it hits the air. Basically, rust. In freezing rivers, perfect circular ice disks sometimes form. They rotate slowly like giant spinning records. It's caused by water currents, but it looks engineered. In Siberia, methane gas bubbles get trapped in layers of ice. They stack up like frozen explosions beneath your feet. Beautiful and slightly terrifying. And then there are places that feel completely alive. Socotra Island looks like it belongs on another planet. Strange umbrella-shaped trees, plants that exist nowhere else on Earth. Around 30% of its species are completely unique. Then there's Mount Roraima, a flat-topped mountain rising above the clouds. Its ecosystem has been isolated for millions of years. Think of it as a natural time capsule or a lost world. And in Brazil, there's a desert that floods. White sand dunes fill with rainwater lagoons. So you get a place that looks like a desert, but behaves like a tropical wetland. On the coast of Northern Ireland, thousands of perfectly shaped hexagonal columns rise from the ground. They look man-made, but they're volcanic. As lava cooled, it cracked into geometric patterns. In New Zealand, giant spherical rocks sit on the beach, perfectly round. They formed slowly as minerals crystallized around a core, like pearls. And in the US, there's a rock formation that looks like a frozen ocean wave, carved by wind over millions of years. It's motion, turned into stone. But even beyond this, there are more places where nature bends reality in unexpected ways. In Chile, Atacama Desert is considered the driest place on Earth. Some areas haven't seen rain for hundreds of years. Yet when rain does fall, the desert suddenly blooms with flowers, transforming a lifeless landscape into a vibrant explosion of color. In Japan, Aokigahara Forest grows on hardened lava at the base of Mount Fuji. The dense trees and volcanic ground absorb sound, creating an eerie silence that makes the forest feel unnaturally still. And deep beneath the ocean, there are places where the earth is literally tearing itself apart. In Iceland, you can walk between two continents. The North American and Eurasian tectonic plates slowly drift away from each other, about the speed your fingernails grow. The ground is splitting, in real time. And hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean lies a structure so massive it can be seen from space. Australia's Great Barrier Reef stretches for over 2,300 kilometers. It's built by billions of tiny coral organisms, so huge that astronauts can spot it orbiting Earth. But nature doesn't only build giant things. Sometimes it creates impossible precision. In Namibia, there are thousands of perfectly circular patches in the desert called fairy circles. For decades, scientists argued over what caused them. Termites, plants competing for water, self-organizing ecosystems? No one fully agrees. It looks like the desert was patterned by intelligence. And then there's a cave in Mexico filled with crystals the size of telephone poles. The Cave of the Crystals remained hidden underground for thousands of years. Some crystals grow over 11 meters long. The cave was so hot and humid that explorers could survive inside for only minutes without special suits. It feels less like Earth and more like Superman's fortress of solitude. In California's Death Valley, rocks move on their own. Heavy stones leave long trails across the desert floor, even though no one sees them move. For years, it was considered a mystery. Turns out thin sheets of ice and strong winds slowly push them across wet mud. But watching the trails appear with no explanation? Still unsettling. And sometimes, nature creates sounds that shouldn't exist. In certain deserts, sand dunes can sing. As grains slide down the slope, they vibrate together and produce deep humming sounds loud enough to echo for kilometers. Imagine standing alone in silence and hearing the ground start to roar. In Tanzania, there's a lake so alkaline, it can calcify animals. Creatures that die in Lake Natron sometimes become preserved in eerie stone-like forms. The water is extremely rich in minerals and salt. It looks like the lake turns living things into statues. And in China, there's a forest made entirely of stone. Towering limestone pillars rise from the ground like petrified trees. Some are hundreds of feet tall. Rain slowly dissolved softer rock over millions of years, leaving behind giant stone spikes. It inspired the floating mountains in Avatar. But perhaps the strangest phenomenon happens high above the Arctic. Sometimes the sky itself forms glowing waves of light, the northern lights. Charged particles from the sun collide with Earth's atmosphere, releasing bursts of green, purple, and red light across the night sky. Ancient cultures thought they were spirits, warriors, messages from the gods. Even now, they don't feel completely real. And beneath the ocean near Japan, there are giant underwater circles perfectly carved into the sand. For years, nobody knew what made them. Aliens, ocean currents, unknown geology. It was actually created by a tiny pufferfish, barely larger than a dinner plate. To attract a mate, it spends days building massive symmetrical patterns on the seafloor. One small fish, creating underwater crop circles. Then there's Yellowstone. Beneath the park sits one of the largest volcanic systems on Earth. Hot water, pressure, and underground magma create geysers that erupt like clockwork, boiling rivers, rainbow-colored pools, steam vents hissing from the ground. The colors aren't paint. They're heat-loving microorganisms surviving in near-boiling water. Some beaches glow blue at night. In places like the Maldives and Puerto Rico, waves can light up with electric blue sparkles. The glow comes from bioluminescent plankton. When the water moves, millions of tiny organisms flash simultaneously. The ocean literally becomes a sea of stars. There's a cave with its own weather system. Inside Vietnam's massive Son Doong Cave, parts of the cave are so large they generate clouds. Warm and cool air collide underground, creating fog, clouds, and localized weather. The cave is big enough to fit skyscrapers inside. It's essentially a hidden world beneath the jungle. A river in Colombia looks like liquid rainbow. For a few months each year, Caño crystallis turns red, yellow, green, blue, and purple. The colors come from a unique aquatic plant that blooms under precise conditions. It's often called the River of Five Colors, and it looks more like a painting than a real river. There's a volcano that produces volcanic lightning. During certain eruptions, ash particles collide and build enormous electrical charges. The result? Lightning exploding inside giant ash clouds. Fire, smoke, and electricity all happening at once. Some trees can bleed red sap. On Socotra Island grows the dragon blood tree. When cut, it releases a dark crimson resin. Ancient civilizations believed it was actual dragon blood. In New Zealand, thousands of bioluminescent larvae cover cave ceilings. Their blue-green lights create what looks like a galaxy underground. The cave roof resembles a perfect night sky, except the stars are alive. Earth has a giant hole visible from space. And the craziest part? Every place you've seen in this video is real. No CGI, no special effects. Just Earth being far stranger than we ever imagined. Please like and subscribe.